All right. Hope everybody's having a good day. It finally feels like spring where I am. For a while, it was still, we were in spring, but it was still feeling like winter. But now we're up in the 80s. And it's a clear, beautiful day. Can see the blue sky and everything. We don't get many days like this. I think we have more overcast days than clear days. Shalom. All right, we'll just give everybody a few minutes to come in. Let's see here. And it's a clear, beautiful day. Can see the blue sky and everything. We don't get many days like this. I think we have more overcast days than clear days. All right. All right, y'all. Okay. We're going to listen to another lost book. And this is believed to be written by King David about around 1000 BC. So, and the good part about this lost book is done by Hebrews, all done in Hebrew voices. So I think you're going to enjoy this one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me go ahead and share my screen. Let's see here. Yeah. Okay, you know what to do. Give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Okay, if you can see the screen, please give me a 1. Thank you. Thank you very much. You always come through, RJ Connections. He was the first one to hit the 1. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me go ahead and we'll get started. Put this on full screen. Oh, and you'll like it. And they put a lot of drama and everything in this too that I think you'll enjoy.
Shema Echre Allah, Ahijah, Alahaya Noah, Al-Qadr. Hear, O Israel, Ahijah, the power that controls the land and gives life, is one. The book of the words of Gad the Seer, chapter 1. In the 31st year of King David in Jerusalem, which is 38th year of the reign of David, the word of Ahijah was upon Gad the seer in the 2nd month, near the stream of Kidron, saying,
Thus saith Ahijah, Go thou, gird up thy loins like a man, and stand in the middle of the street, and cry in a great voice, Tarry and hasten, tarry and hasten, tarry and hasten, for there is yet a vision for the son of Jesse. And during the cry, thy face shall turn to the east of the city, and stretch forth thy hands toward heaven.
And I did according to what I had been commanded. And it came to pass, when I finished calling that cry, I opened mine eyes and saw a yoke of oxen, led by a donkey and a camel, coming up from the stream of Kidron, the donkey on the right side of the yoke and the camel on the left. And a great voice was going before them like the roll of thunder, crying in a bitter voice, saying,
Seer, seer, seer.
These are 4 mixtures that confuse the people of Ahijah. For the impure and the pure have been mixed, and the purity had been put under the hand of impurity. a mixture from Seer to rule over them, to increase power over a righteous doer and thus to betray, to destroy holiness, to crown wickedness, to set up matters of impurity in the guise of purity. And after the voice came a great shock that shook over the impurity and blew away the donkey and the camel into the moon with a stormy wind. And the moon was opened and looked like a bowl, a semicircle, and both her heads reached the ground. And lo, the sun came out of heaven in the shape of a man, with a crown on his head, carrying over his right shoulder a lamb, rejected and despised. And on the crown of his head 3 shepherds are seen, shackled with 12 shackles, and these shackles were of gold coated with silver. And the voice of the Lamb was heard, great and dreadful, like the voice of a lion roaring over his prey.
Woe unto me, woe unto me, woe unto me! My image has been diminished, my refuge has been lost, my lot and destiny has turned me over to my spoilers. And I was defiled until the evening by the touch of impurity.
And it came to pass, when the voice of the Lamb was over, and lo, a man dressed in linen came with 3 branches of vine and 12 palms in his hand. And he took the lamb from the hand of the son and put the crown on its head, and the vine branches and palms on his heart. And the man, dressed in linen, cried like a ram's horn, saying,
What hast thou here, impurity? And who hast thou here, impurity? Then thou hast hewed thee a place in impurity, and in my covenant that I have set with the vine branches and palms.
I heard the lamb shepherd saying,
There is a place for the pure, not for the impure with me. For I am a holy Ahijah, and I do not want the impure, only the pure. Though both are creations of my hands, and my eyes are equally open on both. But there is an advantage to the abundance of purity over the abundance of impurity, just like the advantage of a man over his shadow. For the shadow does not come except by man, and only by the existence of the man is the shadow given to the tired and exhausted. To pure and impure, this matter is even so. For all gates of intelligence are turned around since the death of the 8 branches of the vine, as is found in words of righteousness in the true book. But because of the wanderings of the sheep and their rest and divisions, intelligence is stopped up until I do greatly in keeping grace.
I saw that impurity was driven from the moon and was given into the hand of consuming wrath, ground finally to dust and scattered by the daily wind. And the days burned as a furnace to transfer impurity and to erase the transgressions. And the Lamb was put on the moon forever and ever. And the Lamb took of the pure that had been mixed with the impure and brought it as a peace offering sacrifice on the altar before Allah Shaddai, jealous Ahijah of hosts. And I heard the sound of the songs of the Lamb, saying, I shall give thanks unto thee, O Ahijah, for though thou wast angry with me, thou relented. For Ahijah is my strength and song, and he is become my redeemer. I will sing unto Ahijah, for he is highly exalted. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea of reeds. Rise up, intelligence, rise up, power. Rise up, kingship, rise up, majesty and glory, rise up to help Ahijah. For Elohim has saved one who had strayed and obliterated the impurity from the earth. He fought my fight and brought into the light my righteousness by his help. My help cometh from Allah Shaddai, who made heaven and earth. Verily, who is like unto thee, glorious in holiness, but not in impurity? For thou art great over all, raised over all, thou spoke and acted. For thou declared the end from the beginning, and thou sealed everything with thy words, and turned my heart and tormented me. For thy seal is on me, Adonai. And these are 3 branches of vine and 12 palms that are on my heart. Thou gave me grandeur. Thou erased vanity to fair man. And thou gave me a pure heart forever. For that I will praise thee at all times and thank thee among the nations. For thou hast redeemed me greatly from my king, and did favor to David the anointed and his seed forever and ever. And I heard a voice crying from heaven, saying,
Thou art my son, thou art my firstborn, thou art my first fruit. Have I not brought thee from the crossing wholeheartedly to be my daily delight? But thou hast thrown my presence away and dressed up the impure with the pure. And that is why all these things have happened to thee. And who is like unto thee among all creatures on earth? For in thy shadow lived all these, and by thy wounds were they healed. For that, consider all which is before thee. And because thou hast fulfilled the words of the shepherd, all the days hast thou been in the sun, and thou did not leave them. Therefore all this honor shall accord to thee.
I, Gad, the son of Ahimelech, of the Jabez family, of the tribe of Yehudah, son of Ichrealah, was amazed by the scene and could not control my spirit. And the one dressed in linen came down to me and touched me, saying,
Write these words and seal with the seal of truth. For Ahijah, that Ahijah is my name, and with my name shalt thou bless all the house of Israel, for they are of a true seed. Thou shalt go, for yet a little while before thou art gathered quietly to thy fathers. And at the end of days thou shalt see with thine own eyes all these things, not as a vision, but in fact. For in those days they shall not be called Jacob, but Israel. For in their remnant no iniquity is found, for they belong entirely to Ahijah. And these words will be unto thee a restorer of life and spirit. And this shall be the token unto thee. When thou enters the town, thou wilt find my servant David while he is reading these words from the book of the covenant. And yet, for all that, when they are in the land of their enemies, I will not reject them, neither will I abhor them to destroy them utterly and to break my covenant with them. For I am Ahijah, their Elohim. And thou shalt tell him about the scene thou hast just seen, and when he seeth thee, he will be glad in his heart.
And it came to pass, when I came to the house of David, the man of Elohim, I found him as the one dressed in linen had said, and I told him of all my visions. Then David spoke unto Ahijah the words of this song, saying, I love thee, O Ahijah, my strength. And to me he said, Blessed art thou to Ahijah that disclosed his secrets to thy ears. And I lifted up my voice, saying, Blessed art thou to Ahijah that did not remove his covenant from thee, for he is true, and his word is true, and his seal is true. Chapter 2. After these true things, I had a divine vision, saying,
Set thy face eastwards, northward, southward, and westwards, and whistle with thy mouth as a bird whistles to its chicks, and say, Four corners of the earth, listen to the word of Ahijah. Thus saith Ahijah, who sits and dwells over the cherubs. Give, 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 take out, take out, take out my seed that I have sown in you. For the time for the seed has come. For yet a little while I shall collect my seed on my threshing floor. And the threshing floor will be holy, and impure seed will not be found in it. For before those days my seed was mixed with lentil and barley and spelt beans and gourd. And in the end of days the soil shall be true, and the seed shall be true, and from the seed all the land will be blessed. Be joyful and glad, remnant of Yoda, and rejected of Israel. For salvation is with Ahijah, as ye shall be a curse and blasphemy to all the families of the earth. So shall you be a blessing and grace forever. At that time no curse or unholy people will be found among you, for everyone will join you in the covenant in the law, testimonies, statutes, and ordinances. And you and they shall have one Alahayim, one covenant, one law, one language, for all shall speak in Yoda's language, the holy language. Happy art thou, O Allah, who is like unto thee, a people saved by Ahijah, for he shall go before you to fight your wars with your enemies. Woe to you, O Edom, that sits in the land of Kittim, in the north of the sea. For your destroyers will emerge from a terrible nation, not leaving you a remnant. For you have said, on high is my seat, and I have knowledge of the Alahayim of Alahayims. For Ahijah chose me instead of his holy people, for he loathed them. His former people despised and rejected him, did not know Ahijah or his image. Verily, we are wise and clever. We know Ahijah and his law. We know his image and presence. Therefore, thus saith Ahijah, because you rose so high to talk about the Alahayim of Alahayims, know that you shall perish in your cleverness. For why would you put confidence in man, in whose nostrils is his breath, which came up in a night like a day shadow that passes by, setting him to sit beside Alahayim? For it is not you whom I knew formerly. And where is the bill of divorce of my people, that ye said would be a prey? Show it to me. Your corpses will fall among my people. O jealous Ahijah, come out of your place and thrash Edom, consume them. Come to Zarephath, come to Sepharad, come to Ashkenaz, come to Germania. They shall come and fall in the nethermost pit, in destruction and in the shadow of death, for your mouth will fail you, and no one will help you. At the end of days, Mecca Allah the great prince, shall stand up in war like a whirlwind against Samael, the prince of the world, to put him under his feet in the wind of Ahijah. And it shall be eaten up, for Ahijah has spoken it. At the end of days, the robbed will overcome the robber, and the weak the strong, truly and in righteousness. Your Alahayim is your savior, O Allah. With him you will be saved, for he is a merciful Alahayim. He will not abandon you. For thou shalt keep on doing all that I commanded you in the law of Moshe, my servant.
Chapter 3. At that time, at the feast of Passover on the 15th of the first month, there came to David a Moabite shepherd who talked to him, saying, My lord, the king, thou hast known that thy servant was good to Israel from his youth. And now take me from dwelling among uncircumcised people, and circumcise the flesh of my foreskin to roll away my reproach, and I will sit among thy people. And David said, Ahijah does not want thy people. And he commanded, and Moabite or an Ammonite shall not enter into the assembly of Ahijah forever. And we cannot seek thy peace nor thy prosperity. But what can I do for thee today? The servant answered, Is not that Ruth was of our people? And thou art one of her children and descendants? And Ahijah has chosen thee and thy descendants forever? Then said he, Thou hast said defeating words. Stand here with me to ask from the mouth of my Adonijah. And David asked Ahijah about the words of the Moabite servant. And David said, O Ahijah, Ahijah of hosts, teach me wondrous things out of thy law, so I will know the rule for the servant, and what shall be done with him. And Ahijah said to Nathan the prophet, Go to David my servant, and tell him the word that I tell thee. And Nathan went to David, and to his room, saying, Thus saith Ahijah of hosts, I have heard thy prayer. So tell the Moabite, it is a Moabite male thou art, not a Moabite female. For I have not said Moabite female and Ammonite female. For their women and daughters belong to Ahijah. However, cursed are thee by Ahijah, forbidding thee to enter the assembly of Ahijah. When the Moabite heard the words of Ahijah, he cried with a great cry, saying, I am prevented from entering the assembly of Ahijah. And the king took him and appointed him shepherd among the shepherds of David. And he was there until the day when Solomon reigned over Israel for 13 years, and he died. And he had a daughter whose name was Sapphira. She was of beautiful form and fair to look upon. King Solomon took her to be his concubine, and she found grace and favor in his sight more than all the concubines. And she became the chief of the concubines' residence. And this was the rule in Israel forever. Chapter 4. In those days, a man from Bethlehem, the city of David, went to Jerusalem, and his name was Zabad, the Pari, of the family of the Perizzites, to pay the vow which he had vowed unto Ahijah. For his father was sick even unto death, and Zabad said, When Ahijah raises my father from his sickness, I will weigh and give 2 talents of silver to the house of Ahijah, to the hand of King David. And it came to pass, as he was at the house of the shepherds on the way, he lost the money in his pocket, and he was displeased. He came to the city of Jerusalem, into the inner city, and he wrote on all the city gates these words, Whoever finds the pocket with 2 talents of silver and brings it to me, I will give him 1 talent of silver as a present. And a Danite man came, and in his hand was the pocket with the bound talents that he had found on the way, and he gave it to the owner of the pocket. And the Danite said to the Perizzite, Give me 1 talent of silver, as thou said. And the Perizzite said, No, for there were 3 talents in my pocket, and thou hast stolen 1 talent. I was mistaken about their number. And both of them came and stood before the king. And the king said to the Perizzite, Swear unto me by Ahijah, that in your pocket were 3 talents of silver. And he swore to him by Ahijah. And the king continued, saying to the Danite, Swear unto me by Ahijah, that you found the pocket with 2 talents of silver. And he swore to him by Ahijah. And David said to the Perizzite, Give back the pocket with the talents to the Danite, for this is his money that Ahijah has hidden by chance for him. Now therefore, go and write on the city gates, Whoever finds the pocket with 3 talents should bring it to me, for this is not your pocket. And David took the pocket with the talents of silver from the hand of the Perizzite and gave it to the Danite. And the Danite bowed his head and prostrated himself to the earth and said, Long live my Adonijah, King David, forever. And all Israel heard the judgment, and they wondered over David and were joyful. For they saw that the wisdom of Elohim was in him. Chapter 5. And the Philistines assembled themselves together to fight with Israel, people in multitudes that could not be numbered. And David was greatly distressed, for he was afraid of the Philistines. And Ahijah said to Gad,
Go, And tell David my servant, do not be worried about these uncircumcised Philistines. For tomorrow I will give them and those who oppress thee into thy hand.
And David said to Gad, I am not worthy of all the mercies that Ahijah has done to me. But blessed and beautified be the name of Ahijah forever and ever. And that night, a fire rider came from heaven, and his sword was drawn in his hand, and he smote the camp of the uncircumcised, a very great slaughter, so that not one of them was left. And it came to pass on the morrow, they came to David, saying, Behold, the Philistines have been killed by those who rose up against them. None of them is left. And David raised his voice and said, Now I know that there is no hindrance to Ahijah. Who can save us from many or few? For his salvation is like the blink of an eye. And he said, Blessed art thou, O Ahijah, who has been taking revenge for us and our enemies. And he set up a pillar and called it Pillar of Revenge unto this day. Chapter 6. And Ahijah said to Gad, Go to David my servant and tell him,
Thus saith Ahijah, let not the mighty man glory in his might, but let him that glory in this, that my help is with him. Then thou shalt go and fear not, for Ahijah is with you.
And Gad came and told David the words of Ahijah. And David said to Gad, I have known the help of Ahijah from my youth. For who smote the lion and the bear? Who smote the Philistine? Who smote my enemies? Was it not the help of Ahijah? And when Ahijah heard that, it was well pleasing in his sight. And he said,
Because David has known my help in his glory, for that my help will dwell in the house of David forever.
And Gad said the words of Ahijah to David. And David prostrated himself before Ahijah and said, Blessed be Ahijah, for I have found favor in his eyes. Chapter 7. And again the anger of Ahijah was kindled against Israel. And he moved Satan against David, saying, Go, number Israel and Yoda, to bring them the evil he spoke through Samuel the seer. And the king said to Joab, the captain, and to the princes of the people, Go now to and fro through all the tribes of Israel, from Dan even to Beersheba, and number the people, and bring me word, that I may know the sum of them. And Joab said unto the king, May Ahijah add unto the people, how many soever they may be, 100-fold, and may the eyes of Ahijah our Elohim watch over them. But Adonijah, the king, are they not all Adonijah's servants? Why doth Adonijah require this and want this? And why should it be a cause of guilt unto Israel? For Ahijah has said, which cannot be numbered for a multitude. Notwithstanding, the king's word prevailed against Joab and against the captains of the host. And Joab and the captains of the host went out from the presence of the king to number the people of Israel. And they passed over Jordan and camped at Aroer, south of the town, in the middle of the watercourse of Gad, and unto Jazer. And they came to Gilead, and then to the land of the Hittites, to Kadesh. And they came to Dan, and to Enan, and round about to Zidon. And they came to the stronghold of Tyre, and to all the cities of the Hivites and the Canaanites. And they went out to the south of Yoda, to Beersheba. So they went out to and fro through all the land, and they came to Jerusalem at the end of 9 months and 20 days. But Joab did not number Levi and Benjamin, for the king's word was abominable to Joab. And Joab gave up the sum of the numbering of the people unto David. And all they of Israel were 800,000 valiant men, and 300,000 men that drew a sword. And in Yoda there were 470,000 valiant men, and 30,000 men that drew a sword. And the whole number of the men of Israel, except those of Levi and Benjamin, that were not numbered with them, were 1,000 thousands and 100,000 men of valiance, and they drew a sword. And the men of Yada were 500,000 men of valiance, and that drew a sword. And Ahijah was displeased with this act of Israel, and he sent Gad the seer to David, saying, Thus saith Ahijah, I am the king of Israel, and I am their portion. I am their dread, I am their fortress and might, and thou knowest that not with a sword or a spear shall I save, and not with a man of valiance that draws a sword. For this is the portion of the heathens that stand on their might and many warriors. But thou art not like that, for I am a man of war alone, and there is no one with me. And why would you do this evil to number thy people? For that I shall smite Israel, in order that thou mayest know that I am Ahijah in the midst of the earth? And David's heart smote him after that. And David said unto Ahijah, I have sinned greatly in what I have done. But now, O Ahijah, put away, I beseech thee, the iniquity of thy servant. For I have acted very foolishly. And David rose up in the morning, and the word of Ahijah had already been given to Gad the prophet, David's seer, saying,
Go and speak unto David. Thus saith Ahijah, I lay and I put upon thee 3 things. Choose thee one of them, that I may do it unto thee.
So Gad came to David and told him and said unto him, Shall 4 years of famine come unto the land of Israel, and 3 years in the land of Judah? Or wilt thou flee 3 months before thy foes, while they pursue thee, while the sword of thine enemies overtake thee? Or shall there be 3 days of the sword of Ahijah, that is, pestilence, in thy land, and the angel of Ahijah despoil all the land of Israel? Now advise thee, and consider what answer I shall return to him that sent me. And David said unto Gad, I am in great straits. Let me fall, and let us fall now into the hand of Ahijah, for his mercies are great. And let me not fall into the hand of men. So Ahijah sent a pestilence upon Israel from the morning even to the time appointed. And there died from Dan to Beersheba 70,000 men of the people. And Ahijah sent an angel unto Jerusalem to destroy it. And as he was destroying it, Ahijah beheld, and he repented him of the evil, and said to the angel that was destroying the people, It is enough. Now stay thy hand. And the angel of Ahijah was standing by the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. And David lifted up his eyes and saw the angel of Ahijah standing between the heaven and the earth, having a drawn sword in his hand, stretched out over Jerusalem. And David and the elders, clothed in sackcloth, fell upon their faces. And David said unto Ahijah, Is it not I that commanded the people to be numbered? Even I it is that have sinned and acted very wickedly. But these sheep, what have they done? O Ahijah, my Ahijah, let thy hands be against me, and against my father's house, but not against thy people, that they should be plagued. Shall not the judge of all the earth do justice? And Ahijah said,
They incited Satan against you to number them, saying thus, We will be like all the nations. But I am a Ahijah of justice. May I return their high heart into their own bosoms. For a broken or a contrite heart I shall not despise forever.
And the angel of Ahijah told Gad to tell David that David should go up and rear an altar unto Ahijah on the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite. And David went up according to the words of Gad, which he spoke in the name of Ahijah. And Ornan was looking, and he saw the king and his 4 sons coming with him. Now Ornan was threshing wheat, and Ornan looked and saw David. And he went out of the threshing floor and bowed down to David with his face to the ground. Then David said to Ornan, "Give me the place of this threshing floor, that I may build thereon an altar unto Ahijah. For the full price shalt thou give it to me, that the plague may be stayed from the people." And Ornan said to David, "Take it to thee, and let Adonijah the king do that which is good in his eyes. Lo, I give the oxen for burnt offerings, and the threshing instruments for wood, and the wheat for the meal offering. I give it all." And King David said to Ornan, "Nay, but I will verily buy it for the full price, for I will not take that which is thine for Ahijah, nor offer a burnt offering without payment." So David gave Ornan for the place 600 shekels of gold, and for the cattle 50 shekels of silver, current money, with the merchants. And David built there an altar unto Ahijah, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings, and called upon Ahijah. And he answered him from heaven by fire upon the altar of burnt offering. And Ahijah commanded the angel, and he put his sword back into the sheath thereof, and the plague was stayed from Israel. At that time, when David saw that Ahijah had answered him on the threshing floor of Ornan the Jebusite, and he did not despise him, then he sacrificed there unto Ahijah for the rest of his life. For David could no longer go and sacrifice unto Ahijah in the high place at Gibeah, where there was an altar unto Ahijah, and a tabernacle which Moses made. For he was terrified and weakened because of the sword of the angel of Ahijah that he had seen. Chapter 8. And Ahijah appeared unto David in the time of his old age, and said to him,
Behold, I am with thee, and I am thy Elohim, and behold, my covenant is with thee. Fear not, neither be dismayed, for thy Elohim is thy helper.
And David bowed down to Ahijah and rejoiced in his heart. And Ahijah said,
These are the words you will speak to the ears of the people in my name, so they will obey and they will live. For there will be no more anger in them.
And Ahijah put his words in his mouth. Then David assembled all Israel in Jerusalem, and he made to himself a pulpit of wood, and he stood upon it before all the people. And he opened his mouth and said, Hear, O Israel, your Elohim and my Elohim is one, the only one, and unique. There is no one like his individuality, hidden from all. He was and is and will be. He fills his place, but his place doesn't fill him. He sees, but is not seen. He tells and knows futures, for he is Elohim without end, and there is no end to his end. Omnipotent, Elohim of truth. Whole worlds are full of his glory. And he gave each one free choice. If one wants to do good, he will be helped. And if one wants to do evil, a path will be opened for him. For that, we will worship our Elohim, our King, our Adonijah, our Savior, with love and awe. For your wisdom is the fear of Ahijah, and your cleverness is to depart from evil. Remember and obey the law of Moses, man of Elohim, that it may be well with thee all the days. Ask thy fathers, and they will declare unto thee, thine elders, and they will tell thee, be strong and valiant to obey the law, and not to hear it only. For a deed is like a root. Hearing it is like a seed. A belief is like a tree, and the fruit is like righteousness. What shall we do to a smelly and stinky seed if a root will not come out of it? For that, hurry up, be quick and act, hear and act, for you are a true seed. For you have belief and righteousness, and Ahijah will bless you all in peace. Talk peacefully each with one another, and love the deed and those created in the image of Ahijah like your own souls. For if you love the creation, it is a sign that you love the Creator. And also, thou shouldest take hold of the one. Yea, also, from the other withdraw not thy hand. Love Ahijah, and also man, that it shall be well with thee all the days. And David raised up his voice, and his hand spread forth toward heaven, and said, Ahijah, O Alahayim, the Alahayim of the spirits of all flesh. Alahayim, merciful and gracious, God, Ichriala, forever. Save thy people and bless thine inheritance, and tend them and carry them forever. And all the people called out, Yameno, Yameno. And David sent the people away, and they went home peacefully. Chapter 9. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers unto David, saying, I know that Ahijah thy Alahayim is the Alahayim. And now deal kindly and truly with me, and teach me the law of thy Alahayim, for I will worship him all my life. And the messengers came to David with an offering in their hands for Ahijah and for David. And they told him the words of Hiram, and presented him with the offering. And David said in reply to Hiram, Go and say to my brother, to Hiram, Thus said David, your brother, Be afraid of Ahijah, creator of heaven and fire, the sea and the earth, the wet, the dry, the heat and the cold, the mineral, the vegetation, the living and the speaking, the spheres, the Pleiades and Orion, the sun and the moon, the substantial and the spiritual, the wandering stars, the senses and everything. All these were created and made without a blemish by Allah Shaddai. His name is Ahijah. And if thou do this, observing the commandments that were ordered to the children of Noah, thy father, then good will be all thy days. For we are his allies. We are different from thee by the law of truth, sealed by the seal of Shaddai, called children of Alahayim of truth. And therefore we have to obey the whole law, for we were commanded by the name, saying, Speak unto the children of Ichri'ala. And he hath not dealt so with any nation as he did with us. For us he chose, and not for any reason, but for the great love he loves us. And the messengers returned and came back to Hiram their king, and told him the words of King David. And Hiram rejoiced in his heart, and gathered all his princes and his servants, and said to them the following, Listen to me, Tyrians and Sidonians, what I will tell you. Be afraid and fear Allah Shaddai, whose name is Alahayim of Ichri'ala. He made everything by speaking and by the breath of his mouth. And who will tell him what to do? For he is one. Say with me, Blessed is Ahijah Alahayim of Ichri'ala, who chooses his people. And blessed is David, his servant, the king of his people. And blessed is Ichri'ala, whom Ahijah has chosen to be his inheritance. And would that we were slaves to the children of Ichri'ala, that are called children of Ahijah, their Alahayim. And all his princes and his servants replied, Yameno, thus will be done. And Hiram lifted up his voice and said, I have seen, but not now. I have beheld, but not nigh. There shall step forth a son from David, and a moon shall rise out of the house of Yehudah, and shall smite all the children of Ham and break down all the children of Japheth, and he will possess all the kingdoms of the world. And who is like Ahijah, Alahayim above all Alahayims? And who is like Israel, people above all the nations? May our end be like theirs. And when Ahijah heard the words of Hiram, it was well pleasing in his sight. And Ahijah said unto Gad the seer of David as follows: Go unto my servant, and tell him my words that I say unto you. And Gad, the man in whose hand was the word of Ahijah, came to David and said, Thus saith Ahijah, Alahayim of hosts, I have heard the words of Hiram the king of Tyre, and the words of his princes and his servants, and they pleased me. Wherefore, I shall give him and his people a heart of wisdom and understanding to prepare my house, where I have put my name, and that will assist his land's growth. For I have chosen them and shall not despise them. And David said to Gad, Now I know that Ahijah our Alahayim gives good reward to all his creatures and to all the works that he has created. For he is Alahayim of mercy, who dwells on high and looks after in low. And he that is banished will not be an outcast from him. Blessed be Ahijah forevermore. Yameno and Yameno. For as the heaven is high above the earth, so great is his mercy toward them that fear him and towards his works. Bless Ahijah all ye his works, in all his places of his dominion. Bless Ahijah, O my soul. Tobe Ahijah. Chapter 10. At that time David said this praise, saying, I will exalt thee, my Alahayim, O King. I will bless thy name forever and ever. Every day I will bless thee, and I will praise thy name forever and ever. Ahijah is great and highly to be praised, and his greatness is unsearchable. Generation after generation shall praise thy works, and shall declare thy mighty acts. The glorious splendor of thy majesty and thy wondrous works will I rehearse. And men shall speak of the power of thy tremendous acts, and I will recount thy greatness. They shall utter the fame of the abundance of thy goodness, and shall sing unto thy righteousness. Ahijah is gracious and full of compassion, long-suffering and abundant in mercy. Ahijah is good to all, and his tender mercies are all over his works. Let all thy works, O Ahijah, praise thee, and let thy saints bless thee. They shall speak of the glory of thy kingdom and talk of thy might, to make known to the sons of men his mighty acts and the glorious majesty of his kingdom. Thy kingdom is a kingdom for all ages, and thy dominion endures through all generations. All your enemies fell down, O Ahijah, and all of their might was swallowed up. Ahijah lifteth up all those who fall, and raiseth up all who are bowed down. The eyes of all wait upon thee, and thou givest them their food in due season. Thou openest thine hands, and fillest every living thing with favor. Ahijah is righteous in all his ways, and gracious in all his works. Ahijah is near to all that call upon him, to all that call upon him in truth. He will perform the desire of them that fear him, and he will hear their supplications and save them. Ahijah preserves all that love him, but all the wicked he will destroy. My mouth shall speak the praise of Ahijah, and let all flesh bless his holy name forever and ever. Chapter 11. These are the prayers of David, praising Ahijah on the day when Elhanan, the son of Jair, slew Lami, the brother of Goliath the Gittite, and Jonathan, the son of Shemaiah, a man of great stature, saying, Blessed be Ahijah, my rock, who instructs my hands for war and my fingers for battle. my loving kindness and my refuge, my high tower and my deliverer, my protector, and he in whom I take refuge, who subdues peoples under me. Ahijah, what is man, that thou takest knowledge of him? Or the son of man, that thou makest account of him? Man is like unto a breath, his days are as a shadow that passeth away. O Ahijah, bow thy heavens, and come down, touch the mountains that they shall smoke. Send lightning, and thou shalt scatter them. Send forth thine arrows, and thou shalt discomfit them. Send forth thine hand from on high. Rescue me and deliver me out of many waters, out of the hands of strangers, whose mouth speaketh falsehood, and whose right hand is a right hand of lying. O Ahijah, I will sing a new song to thee. I will sing praise to thee on a psaltery of 10 strings. Who gives salvation to kings, who rescueth thy servant David from an evil sword. Rescue me and deliver me from the hand of strangers, whose mouth speaketh falsehood, and whose right hand is a right hand of lying. For our children are as plants grown up in their youth. Our daughters are corner pillars, carved after the fashion of a temple. Our garners are full, affording food, all manner of store. Our sheep increase by thousands and 10,000s in our markets. Our oxen are well laden, no breach, no going forth, no outcry in our ways. Happy is the people that is in such a case. Happy is the people whose Alahayim is Ahijah. Happy is he who waited when there will be good to all Israel forever. Chapter 12. These are the words of David before his death, as he spoke unto Ahijah and Israel. And he spoke, saying, Alahayim, the blessed, the great, the only one, the guileless, just, dreadful, benefactor of the miserable, darling, the senior, Shodai, holy, have mercy upon the vine, thine good inheritance. He will answer us. In the day that we call, my Adonai, hear my prayer and my supplication, for thou hearest prayers of all mouths. Hear and accept the cry of thy people, for they are thy flock and inheritance. Send thy light and truth to their help. Give them one heart to worship thee, one shoulder, as one man, and they will be one in thy hand. And do not loose any of them, for thy name is to be one. For our fathers and mothers are one. For that, hear, O Israel, Ahijah is our Alahayim, Ahijah is one. Turn ye not unto the idols, for they are vain and utterly pass away. Only unto Ahijah shall you cleave, for him be your dread and fortress, to defeat your enemies, enemies of spirit and enemies of flesh beneath your feet, to bring you to Jerusalem that is concealed for your future. And there shall you see him face to face. In the presence of a living Alahayim is seen face to face. And you are one people. If you grow in belief, you will be filled with gates of intelligence. Blessed is the eye that has seen all these things. But if you lack in belief, you will reach the gates of impurity. For that, cleanse and purify thyself before Ahijah your king, that it shall be well with thee all the days. And David died on the day of the Sabbath after midday, in the 40th year of his reign over Judah and Israel. He was 70 years of age when he died. And he was buried in a great honor in the city of David. And the rest of the deeds of David the king, with all his reign and might, and the times that passed over him, and over Israel, and over all the kingdoms of the countries, behold, they are written in the words of Samuel the seer, and in the words of Nathan the prophet. Chapter 13. And Solomon was strengthened in his kingdom, And Ahijah his Alahim was with him, and magnified him exceedingly. And after that, Tamar, daughter of David, sister of Absalom, went out and fled to the house of King Geshur, and spent a year and 8 months in the house of the king, in the house of her mother. And King Solomon knew nothing of her going, for she went secretly, and unto the king and to the people she concealed her going. And King Solomon said, Whoever finds Tamar, my sister of my father, and brings her to me, I shall pay his wages, changes of raiment, and 50 shekels of gold. And the king's servants sought her in all the land of Israel, but they could not find her. And she was hiding at the house of her mother in Geshur, at the house of her mother's father. And there was the king's friend, whose name was Pershaz. And he loved the maiden very much, for she was of beautiful form and fair to look upon. In those days the king of Geshur went to see King Solomon, as all the kings of the land. King Solomon asked him, saying, Is it well with thee? And he said, It is well. And he said, Is it well with the wife of my father David in thy house? And he said, It is well. And King Solomon continued asking, Is it well with Tamar, my sister? He asked this cleverly. And he said, I have no knowledge, for I have not even seen her. He had lied to him. And it came to pass, when the king of Geshur was in Jerusalem, his friend Pershaz came to Tamar's room, saying to her, Lie with me. But Tamar refused to listen to him and said, Let not, my Adonai, let not this wanton deed, for I am a king's daughter. Howbeit he would not hearken unto her voice, for his love was burning inside him. And Tamar said in her cleverness, for she saw her strength was gone, Listen to me, my Adonai, to the words of your maidservant. Behold, I know how to play the harp, and thou now lie down on my knees to hear my song. And after the song of my heart, then I shall do thy heart's desire. Pershaz listened to Tamar, and he lay in her bosom. And Tamar hooked the harp and played it pleasantly, and said in her heart, Ahijah, king of my father David, thy servant, send thy light and thy truth to hold me, and do not allow the desire of a wicked, uncircumcised, and impure man. For thou hast known what is in my heart, and do not let the daughter of David thy servant sin. My father David, my father David, my father David, look at thy disgrace and thy daughter's disgrace. Go before the throne of glory of Shaddai and ask for mercy for me, the Elohim of hosts, to help me by his help. For he does not want the evil of base fellows, and these are his deeds for those who have been robbed, who overcome the strong. I beseech thee, O Ahijah, save me now. I beseech thee, O Ahijah, make me prosper. I call on thee on the day I am frightened. And may I be answered, and do not lose holy seed by the impurity of the impure. For thou art holy, Elohim, and I trust thee. And Ahijah heard the voice of David for his daughter, and the sleep from Elohim was fallen upon Pershaz, and she was playing the harp while he was sleeping in her bosom because of the pleasant voice of the harp. And when Tamar saw that he had fallen asleep, she took the sword girded upon his loins, and took the sword out of its sheath. And she said, Ahijah of hosts, remember David, my father, and give me power from his power, and thy strength will hold me up. Help me as thou helped the wife of Heber the Kenite, to let sins and sinners cease on the earth, for they know that thou art Ahijah alone. And she took the sword and drove it into the heart of Pershaz. And Pershaz fell down on the ground dead. And Tamar saw that Persia was dead, and she said in a loud voice, So perish all thine enemies and the enemies of thy people, O Ahijah. And now I have seen that thou hast heard my father's voice. Thou hast plotted and did not let his daughter be disgraced by a base fellow. Blessed art thou from everlasting and to everlasting, Yameno. And at the time of the midday meal, the servants of Persia came to call their master to the king's table. And they came to the inner room to Tamar and found her standing with a reddish sword over the corpse of Persia. And their master was dead, thrown down. And they turned trembling to one another, saying, What is this? And they took Tamar and brought her to the king's ministers. And the king's servant said to Tamar, What hast thou done? Thou hast killed the king's friend. Thou shouldest know thou wilt be considered disgraced by our master the king. And Tamar said, Should one deal with a king's daughter as with a harlot? His blood shall be upon his head, and I am guiltless and pure in the king's eyes. And they took Tamar and put her in the hands of the minister of the prison. And they wrote books to their king in Jerusalem by the hands of the post, and that Tamar, the king's daughter, had killed Persia, his friend, and that Tamar was sent to prison until the time when the king returns. And the post came to Jerusalem, and King Solomon's guards found them. And he asked them, Where are you from? And they said, We come from Geshur to bring books to our master the king. And the guards took them and brought them to King Solomon. And King Solomon said, You came here to spy out the land? And now give me your king's letters to see if a sin is on you or not. And King Solomon took the books and gave them to the sons of Shisha, the king's scribes, to read. And they read them, and it was found written that Tamar had killed Persia and that she was in prison. And King Solomon called Ahijah, who was head of the household, and said, Put these uncircumcised men in jail and bring the king of Geshur to me. And he did according to what he had been commanded. And the king of Geshur came before King Solomon, and he bowed his head toward the earth. And King Solomon said, Why hast thou cheated me, lying while Tamar my sister is with thee? And thou said that thou had not seen her all thy life. As Ahijah liveth, who hath redeemed David my father out of all evil, this very day shalt thou die. And King Solomon spoke to Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, saying to him, Go and fall upon the king of Geshur and his post. And he fell upon them, and they died, for they had lied to King Solomon. And they buried them in a cave before the fisherman's gate. Therefore the name of the cave before the fisherman's gate is the cave of the uncircumcised ones, unto this day. And Solomon sent Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, and 10,000 valiant men of Yehudah with him. And he said to them, Go to Geshur and take Tamar, my father's daughter, with you, and destroy the royal palace. But take heed to yourselves of Tamar's mother, and do her no harm, for she was your master's wife. And they went and did what they had been commanded by King Solomon, and they brought Tamar before King Solomon. And Tamar fell down on her face to the ground before the king and said, Let my Adonai the king, my brother, live forever. And King Solomon asked her, Why did thou run away to Geshur? And she answered and said, For I was sitting desolate in the house of my brother Absalom, due to my brother Amnon, and said, I shall go to my mother's house, so I shall not be disgraced in the eyes of the sons of the king my father. And King Solomon asked her, And why did you kill Persia? And she answered, Thus and thus the uncircumcised one did to me, and thus I did to him in revenge. And King Solomon said, Blessed be thou of Ahijah, and blessed be thy discretion, for thou wert wise. Thou acted, and thou wert successful. And King Solomon spoke to the ears of all his servants, saying, Has anyone found such a charming woman and a heroine? And he said, Elohim be gracious unto thee, my daughter. And From this day on, thou shalt not be called my sister, but my daughter, for thou wert extremely wise. And King Solomon gave his daughter Tamar to the son of Abinadab to be his wife. And she found grace in the eyes of her husband, and he loved her very much. He was an officer over all the region of Dor. And King Solomon called Tamar his daughter Taphath, for stacked, the first of the insects, and this was her name all the days of her life. Chapter 14. And it came to pass on the first day of the 7th month, in the head of the year, in the 478th year after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt, in the 2nd year of Solomon's reign over Israel, Ahijah's vision came unto me, and I was upon the Gihon. And I raised my eyes, and lo, the heavens were open like a brook. And I saw the glory of Ahijah, sitting on a lofty and exceedingly high throne. And this is the appearance of the throne. 12 stairs led up to the throne, 6 of gold and 6 of silver. And there was a square back to the throne, like a sapphire stone. And at its right side were 3 stools, and at its left side were 4 stools near the sitting place, like the 7 that see the king's face, covered with gold and silver and precious stones. And the appearance of the glory of Ahijah was like the appearance of the rainbow, his covenant. And the hosts of heaven were standing before him, on his right hand and on his left. And Satan was standing by them, but behind them. And lo, a man dressed in linen brought before the glory of Ahijah 3 books that were written about every man. And he read in the first one, and it was found to have the just deeds of his people. And Ahijah said,
These will live forever.
And Satan said,
Who are these guilty people?
And the man dressed in linen cried to Satan like a ram's horn, saying,
Keep silent, for this day is holy to our master.
And he read in the second book, and it was found to have inadvertent sins of his people. And Ahijah said,
Put aside this book, but save it until 1/3 of the month elapses to see what they will do.
And he read in the third book, and it was found to have malicious deeds of his people. And Ahijah said to Satan,
These are thy shares. Take them. Do with them as it seemeth good to thee.
And Satan took those who acted maliciously, and he went with them to a wasteland to destroy them there. And the man dressed in linen cried like a ram's horn, saying,
Happy is the people that know the joyful shout, that walk, O Ahijah, in the light of thy countenance.
And I heard the voice of the host of heaven dancing and saying, Master of justice, Ahijah of hosts, the whole heaven and earth is full of his glory. And I was shocked by the vision, since I did not know what Ahijah had done for me. Then flew unto me one of the cherubs, and he put an olive leaf in my mouth, and said, Lo, this hath touched thy mouth, and thine iniquity is taken away, and thy sin expiated.
All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed that. What I will do is I will leave the link to the video that you just listened to in the description. And of course, you can always listen to this one over again at your own leisure. And, you know, as I find more lost books, we'll start listening to them. You know, that's what we're supposed to be doing with our time anyway. We're supposed to be learning. So everybody, on that note, please have a wonderful day. And as always, I will be praying for each and every one of you. I pray the Most High keep you all safe and that all of your needs are met during this time of judgment. And his hedge of protection is always around you. Shabbat Shalom, family.